second themed get ready with me video. Last time I showed you my everyday work makeup, and today's gonna be my take on the $10 and under tag. I've been wanting to do this since Tati created it, and when she first did the video, I went to my dresser and I realized a lot of my drugstore favorites are Physicians Formula, and unfortunately most of their products are over $10. So I had to pull some things out of my collection. I also asked you guys for advice. So many of you guys gave me e.l.f. recommendations, and I have two huge favorites. These are so good. I can't wait to talk about them. And then I also found a budget-friendly all-natural brand called Root Pretty. I've been so pleased. I placed 2 small orders trying to work together a look to put together for you guys, and I've been really happy with the customer service and the product. So I'm going to show you those. And then I think my favorite thing, I have so many awesome budget-friendly face brushes, but my eye brushes are all a little bit pricier, and I really wanted to embrace the tag. So I found a brand called MOTD, and I got all these brushes. I think they're 9 brushes for around $50. I had a coupon code, so I have to double check. But I think that's everything. I'm excited to show you some old favorites and some brand new things that I'm really loving, and everything is on the affordable side. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna tell you what I have on my face so far. This is completely unrelated to the video, but I bought this mug yesterday. It is a fall essentials mug, and if I could have drawn this myself. It's all my absolute favorite things. I bought it at a little store here locally, but I looked it up and the artist has an Etsy shop, so I'll show you that. I'm gonna use it for actual beverages, but I'm just keeping in my brushes for now. The first thing I have on my face, I actually don't have a $10 and under face primer, so I went right in with foundation, and I used the Covergirl Ready Set Gorgeous. I have this in shade 105, which is classic ivory. My all-time favorite drugstore foundation is probably the L'Oreal Pro Matte, but that's a little bit over $10. This one I got, and I've just been testing it out a little bit, but I think it's nice. It's on the lighter end of medium coverage. I actually had the worst breakout. I've been thinking that maybe 30 is gonna be my lucky number for no more breakouts, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I had the worst breakout at the beginning of the week. Everything's finally starting to heal, so I probably normally would have used a fuller coverage foundation, but this is honestly really nice, and it built up nicely in the areas and needed a little bit of extra coverage. And then for under eye concealer, I used an old favorite. This is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, and I have this in shade Fair, I believe. I just drew this right underneath my eyes and then around the corner of my nose, and I blended it out with the e.l.f. I think this is called the Flawless Concealer Brush. This is in my last favorites video. It is so nice. I actually have 2. So I have this one to blend out all the concealer. And I forgot to mention, but I used the Real Technique sponge to blend out my face makeup. So after I did that, I set the concealer with the Root Pretty Setting Silk, and for this I used my other e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush. So I put this wherever I had the concealer, underneath my eyes, around my nose, and then I buffed it where I have a little bit larger pores, and this just helps to kind of camouflage that a bit. And since the Covergirl is slightly, just a tiny bit glowier than I normally go, I used the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. I used to use this forever ago, and I haven't used it for a long time, but I used a really good powder brush. If you're looking for one that's kind of similar to my IT Cosmetics powder wand, that has a little bit of a different shape, but this one is very soft and it's good. It's not super dense, so I think it applies just the right amount of powder. So I use this to set the rest of my face. That way, whatever contour and bronzer I put on top blends really nicely. And then for contour and bronzer, one of my favorite things I purchased for this video is the e.l.f. contour palette. Oh my word, this is so good. I think out of all 4 shades, the contour is my favorite. I used the Real Techniques contour brush and applied it underneath my cheekbone, at my temples. It's a really good color. In the pan, it looks very, very dark, but used with a light hand and then just making sure I blend it out, I think it's awesome. I also used the bronzer shade from this palette, which I think is nice. Still, my favorite is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, but if you're traveling and you just want everything handy in a palette, I think this is awesome. So I applied the bronzer kind of a little bit higher than I do the contour and bring it down to my cheeks just a little bit. And then I went in with the highlighter shade from this palette, and I used the Real Technique setting brush. I think my favorite line of drugstore blushes are from a brand called Shea Moisture. You can find these at some Targets and some Ultas. These are if I was gonna liken them to something at Sephora, they're very similar to the original Becca blushes, not these newest ones that released, but the mineral blushes that have been around for a little bit longer. These are really great. And actually, I don't normally do pink blushes. I'm more of a mauve or a peachy bronze, but this color in Rose Quartz, it looks very pink in the pan, but it is so pretty and so subtle on the cheeks. And this is how, if I could choose how I would blush or flush, this is what I would want to look like. Not super red in the cheeks like I actually get, but I think this is really pretty, and it's one of those face brightening shades, which is nice because I'm gonna go just a tiny bit smoky on my eyes and a little bit deeper on my lips. So I want something that's gonna bring a little bit of life to my face. For brows, I normally use MAC Lingering and the Benefit Give Me Brow in the lightest shade. I love both of those, so I wanted to find a drugstore alternative. Both of these products are from Essence, which I got at Ulta. The eyebrow pencil is called Eyebrow Designer, and I bought it in shade 05 Soft Blonde. This worked great. I used it to thicken up my brows and fill in any sparse areas. And I really like this next product. It is called Make Me Brow. It's very, very similar to the Benefit Give Me Brow in packaging. My only issue is that so much product comes off on the bristles. So I wish the stopper was a little bit smaller so it would pull some off. So either I have to scrape onto the side or run it through a tissue. But other than that, it's really nice. And I think it keeps my eyebrows somewhat managed and it doesn't feel stiff like I have hairspray in my brows. I forgot to mention, but before I did my brows, I put on an eyeshadow base. Now I am diehard for the NARS Pro Prime. I think that's the best one on the market. I've tried a lot of them. So I didn't own one from the drugstore and I ended up purchasing the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Eyeshadow Primer. This is really good. This is, to me, just as good as the Urban Decay and Too Faced. So I applied this so it could set down a little bit while I did my brows. And then I went ahead and set it with an eyeshadow, a cream eyeshadow. And the eyeshadow palette I'm using today is from E.L.F. This is called the Mad for Matte palette. So I took the lightest cream color and applied it all over to set the primer. And I'm gonna get a little bit closer. I'm gonna use a couple more shades from this palette. My favorite thing about these MOTD brushes are the names. The one I use to set the eyeshadow primer is called the Mr. Handyman, and then the one I'm going to use to apply my crease color is called the Blending Bestie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the two lightest transition colors from the E.L.F. palette. One's a little bit warmer, one's a little bit more neutral, and I'm going to blend them together with my brush. I'm going to be a little bit haphazard because my outside corner is going to get slightly more smoky as I go through the look, so I'm going to focus most of the color here. And then once I have the color laid down, I'm gonna start to bring it up in my crease. When I'm doing eyeshadow looks, it's normally this step, running the crease color, that I spend the most time doing. Using the MOTD eye-catching crease brush, I'm gonna take a little bit more of that cream color and run it right underneath my brow for a highlight. Switching over to some single shadows, I'm gonna take Roots Shell. These are loose, so what I like to do is tap a little bit into the lid and pick it up with the brush, and I'm gonna be using the Miss Shady Lady. And I'm gonna press this in the inner corner and a little bit further than halfway on my lid. This color is so brightening. I think it's beautiful on the eye and can make you look a little bit more awake when maybe you haven't gotten as much sleep as you should have the night before. Now I'm gonna add some serious shimmer, and I think my favorite thing, or one of my favorite things I ordered from Root, is their eyeshadow called Portland. This, if you want to, you can apply it wet. I've done that and put it all across my lid. It's absolutely stunning. Today I'm gonna use it dry and I'm gonna keep it on the outer third of my lid, and I'm gonna make sure I really blend it into shell. To finish up the eyes, I used an oldie but a goodie. This is the NYX Slide On Pencil in Brown Perfection. I applied a lot of this. I kind of haphazardly applied it, and I used a very inexpensive brush from Forever 21, an angle brush, to manipulate the liner a little bit and create a shape that was helping kind of make my eyes look a little bit more upturned. And I was using this pencil more as a base than an eyeliner because I went in with one more Root Pretty shadow in the shade Midnight Mocha. This is gorgeous, and it's so pretty when it meets Portland eyeshadow and kind of blended together. So I took that same angle brush and I pressed Midnight Mocha everywhere that I had that penciled liner. And then I took a tiny bit extra of Midnight Mocha and put it in my outside corner, and I used a small little brush to just smoke out that outer corner a bit. I was bummed because out of everything, I forgot about an eyelash curler. I own two, one from Chanel, nowhere near $10, and even my Tweezerman one, which I really like, the rose gold one. I think that's over $10 too. So I didn't curl my lashes, I just went in with mascara. Today I used the Maybelline The Falsies Push Up Angel. This is kind of unique. There's only bristles on one side and the brush is shaped like a scoop. So I applied it to the back of my lashes and then I just scooped up my lashes. Third time using it, but so far I really like it. I think it gives a lot of length, and this is probably the closest I found at the drugstore to the look that the benefit Roller Lash gives me. For lips, I actually used a tinted lip balm, but I wanted to give it something to hold onto so it would last a little bit longer. So I first used the Jordana Easy Liner for Lips in Rockin' Rose. I love this color. I also love Tawny. So I lined my lips and filled them in just a little bit, and then I think other than the Portland eyeshadow, probably this and the Portland eyeshadow are my favorite thing I ordered from Root. This is their Pretty Balm in the color Scarlet, and it's beautiful. It's a brown with just a little bit of red to it, and it has a lot more color than the average tinted lip balm. I also brought down my top 5 drugstore lipstick formulas, but my battery just went red, so I will list all of these down below in case you're interested. That is all for my take on the $10 and under tag. It was so fun to pull out old favorites and test some new things. I hope you enjoyed, and I would love to know if you could only recommend one thing from the drugstore, your best drugstore find. What is it? Leave it in a comment down below because I would love to read that. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it, and I'll be back with a new video very soon.